everyone to Maba today. It's very good to see everyone here. It's been a while since I was back. How many of you have never been here before? So, well, welcome for your first time. It's very nice to meet you. Now, this year, we are giving talks about Bodhisattvas. As I said, I'm going to be talking about Samantabhadra and some teachings and practices associated with them. And today I'll start with an introduction to Samantabhadra and Bodhisattvas, because we have many different people coming to Maba. Some of them know a lot, some of them are brand new to Buddhism. And so I try to have something for everyone in the talk. So, Bodhisattva is a really beautiful word. Bodhi means awakening, and sattva means being. So a bodhisattva is an awakening being. So this is someone who is in the process of becoming awakened, like those of us who want to become a Buddha, and we take bodhisattva vows, and they are called baby bodhisattvas. You're not fully awakened yet, just starting on the path, but we're still called a bodhisattva, a baby bodhisattva. But this also means a fully awakened being, like the Buddha or Samantabhadra, someone who is awakened and who is able to help people. Now, Samantabhadra is the name of a particular bodhisattva, and you can see a statue depicting Samantabhadra. And of course, in real life, he didn't have that many heads. But he is said to have ridden into China on an elephant. And this is a statue on a famous mountain in China, which we'll get to in a moment. But you see that he's riding on an elephant because the story is that he rode into China on an elephant. Now, if you look closely at the elephants, you can see each one has 6 tusks. And you can see that he's on 4 elephants, and that he has all these heads so he can face in 4 directions. That's because a bodhisattva tries to help everyone, everywhere, in any direction, no matter who they are. So he's looking everywhere. This is a symbol to show he's looking everywhere, seeing everyone, and ready to help everyone. Now, the 6 tusks of the elephant represent senses. In Buddhism, we have 6 senses: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Bodhisattva's senses are like ours, but they're purified. I'll explain that more in a minute. You can see that he is holding something. Sometimes he's holding a sword, but I think this time he is holding a lotus leaf on a long stem. Now, bodhisattvas are often depicted holding a lotus stem, because lotus leaf or stem is considered a symbol of being pure or stainless. This relates to the 6 senses, because most of us, like a bodhisattva, we want to be a nice person, we want to help everybody. So we don't start our days thinking, boy, I'm going to be crabby and angry and a horrible person today. We start thinking, oh, it's a good day, it looks nice, the sun came out, I'm going to see some friends. Then things start happening, and we see somebody being rude on the highway, maybe cutting someone off, or we hear someone speaking with an angry voice. All these things that come in through our senses, they affect our minds and how we view things. They kind of ruin our day, but they're not really ruining our day. They're polluting our mind and the way we see things. A bodhisattva, however, he can see all these things and they don't affect his mind, because his mind is pure. He doesn't have any greed or anger. He has no ignorance. So when these things are seen by him or heard by him, they don't change his mind. He retains that kind, compassionate, loving mind that wants to help people. And nothing can stop him from doing that. So the reason the lotus is a symbol for this purity, this stainlessness that bad vibes or bad things don't adhere to, is that the lotus itself is something that things do not adhere to. Like scientists today study it for its properties because water does not stick to the lotus leaf. There's an old sutta from Pali which says, just as a bead of water does not adhere to the lotus, so obscurations and taints do not adhere to the sage. But just as water does not stick to the lotus, and dirt does not stick to the lotus, these bad things that may come into the mind of a bodhisattva do not stick there. For the rest of us, they stick. We cling to them because they awaken things in our mind. Maybe a bad habit we have, our tendency to be grumpy or angry. But this doesn't happen with a bodhisattva. Now, this is a mountain, and the statue I showed you is on this mountain. It's a famous mountain in China, and it's where Samantabhadra is said to have become inland, called Mount Olmei. I said it correctly. I was worried about that. Yeah. You can't really see it from this picture, but this is the highest peak of the mountain. And then we'll go to the next slide. And this is a picture of the whole mountain. The picture is a little deceptive. This mountain is really huge. It has many peaks, and there are actually dozens of temples on here. If you were to hike to the top, it would take you at least 2 days. There are even hotels on the mountain. And there's a wildlife refuge on the mountain and around the mountain, where many rare animals that have been killed off everywhere else still survive, and many rare plants. So this is an important pilgrimage site. And just to let you know where it is, it's under the tip of that arrow where the mountains start to get really big in Western China, classic Western China. Today it's in the middle of China, roughly. But that's where it is. Now, I was talking about bodhisattvas. A bodhisattva is one who has set on the path to realization of Buddhahood, or one who has attained it. They represent our struggles, they are guides for progress, and they epitomize qualities and actions needed on the path. So just as a small child is trying to figure out life and watches the adults, sees what they do, follows them, asks them questions, we can do the same thing as baby bodhisattvas, or people who are trying to learn to be better. So that's a shortened explanation of what a bodhisattva is. And the main thing I wanted to say is, we talk about revering bodhisattvas. That's not worshiping bodhisattvas. That's just respecting and having some reverence for someone who is important, someone we could look up to, just as you might look up to a great person in history or a wonderful person in the world today. You'd have respect for that person and maybe a little reverence for them, not in a God way, but just in a wonderful person way. Someone you respect a lot. This is a picture, it's very dark, I'm sorry to say. There's 3 great bodhisattvas. But I really want to emphasize there are lots of bodhisattvas. So it may not be very clear, but the one in the middle is the Buddha. The Buddha himself is a bodhisattva. And there are many tales about when the Buddha was a bodhisattva, becoming awakened. They're called Jataka tales. There are hundreds of them. In America, they're usually presented as children's stories, but they're good to read as adults too. And in most Buddhist countries, everybody reads them and everybody knows them. And there on the Buddha's left side, you can see Manjushri again, Samantabhadra again, and on the Buddha's right is Manjushri. He's another Bodhisattva, and he epitomizes wisdom. Now, Samantabhadra is revered in many countries through history. In China, he's called Fuxian. In Tibet, he's called Kuntuzangpo. In Japan, he's called Fujian. And he has many other names in Korea, Vietnam, Mongolia, Nepal, Bhutan, and surrounding areas. There are also statues of him in countries that are not Mahayana, like Sri Lanka and many other countries. So this is a very famous Bodhisattva. And were you to travel in Asia, you would see statues of him in many places. But he's central to many sutras, very important sutras in Mahayana, including the Avatamsaka Sutra, the Lotus Sutra, and the sutra which always follows the Lotus Sutra, which is called the Samantabhadra Meditation Sutra. And I'll talk about that next time. And he's in other sutras as well, but those are some of the most prominent ones. The Avatamsaka or Buddhisattvas Sutra is an extremely important sutra. In English, it's usually called the Flower Garland Sutra. And it's called the Xiǎnxǐng in Chinese. And it's very big. It's one of the biggest sutras you will see. It's 39 volumes long in a really big, thick book. Many parts of it themselves are well-known sutras. And the picture is a cover of it from Korea, from a Korean library. Avatamsaka is not really its whole name. Its whole name is very long. Buddhavatamsaka Nama Maha Vaipulya Sutra. Very, very long. Sutra, of course, is a teaching of the Buddha. Maha means great. Nama means its name is Buddhavatamsaka. This means the ornament or the garland of the Buddhas. Vaipulya is an interesting word. It's usually translated as multitude. It actually refers to a class of the Buddhist teachings in which someone who knows a bit about the Buddhist teaching asks a question, and someone like the Buddha or one of his disciples answers the question, and then they ask some more questions and answer some more questions. And there are lots of questions answered in this sutra. I will just name a couple of the books. Tassa Bhumika is the 26th book on the 10 Bhumis. Samantabhadra discusses 50 qualities of a Bodhisattva in book 36. Many, many books. In book 38, Samantabhadra answers 200 questions. You can see there's a multitude of questions. Vaipulya also means multitude or many. Expansion. Khandavyuga is the main one I would talk about. This Samantabhadra. I would say there are early references to the Avatamsaka Sutra and its parts actually being something called the Bodhisattva Pitaka. Now, some of you are aware of the Pitakas. These are the baskets. And today, all Buddhist schools recognize basically 3 baskets. There's a basket of sutras. There's a basket of the discipline for the monastics called Vinaya. And then there's a basket called the Abhidhamma basket, which contains additional explanations and investigations into the Buddhist teaching. But a long time ago, in the early schools, some of them had many, many, many baskets, as many as 15 or 16 baskets or more. Some of them had a basket called the Bodhisattva basket. And Paramartha, a 6th century monk from central India, who traveled very widely, states in a translation of the Mahayana Asya, which is another gigantic book, a commentary on the gigantic book. The Avatamsaka Sutra and the Bodhisattva Pitaka are the same thing. So this is why Avatamsaka is so big. It's a collection of many different sutras that were part of the Bodhisattva teaching. So the Avatamsaka Sutra begins with the Buddha's enlightenment. An assembly gathers around him. He teaches on Buddha nature, interdependent origination, mind, emptiness, and many other things. And as I said, many volumes follow with many more teachings, focuses on Buddhahood and the qualities and practices of Bodhisattvas. Now, the main book I want to talk about, Entering the Dharma Realm, starts with a young man named Sudhana. He wants to become awakened. He wants to become a bodhisattva. And he starts off with a talk from Manjushri, the bodhisattva of wisdom, who gives him some wisdom. And he goes on this long journey, asking teacher after teacher, how do I become awakened? What do I do? He asks many, many, many questions. And he ends with Samantabhadra and all of Samantabhadra's answers to questions. And the final ending of it is the 10 Vows of Samantabhadra, which is the main thing I will talk about next time. So we'll just go through them briefly today. I vow to pay homage to all the Buddhas. I vow to praise the Tathagatas. I vow to make unlimited offerings. I vow to repent and reform all karmic hindrances. I vow to rejoice in others' merit and virtue. You can't do that if you have any, it's difficult to do that if you have any greed in your mind or any self-centeredness. We're often jealous when we see others having good things. I vow to request that the Buddhas turn the Dharma wheel. I vow to request that the Buddhas continue living in the world. We don't want them to go away to Paranirvana. We want them to stay here and help us. I vow to follow always the Buddha's teaching. We do that so we can become awakened, so we can help other people, and so we can teach other people. They want us to teach them. I vow to comply always with the needs of all sentient beings. It's a complicated way of saying, I will help people, and I will be of benefit to others. And then the last one is I vow to transfer all merit and virtue universally. So these 10 vows are the practices that Samantabhadra gave to Sudhana to help him become a bodhisattva. And these 10 practices are some of the most common practices among lay people, especially in Asia. They're the most common practice for lay people in Tibet. They're very popular in China and other Buddhist countries, but they're barely known here in the US. Which is a shame because so many people find them so helpful. So I have references if anyone wants them to know what my talk is about. But I talked about sharing the merit. And this means when I have done some good thing, I want to share the results of that with everyone. I don't want to be selfish and keep it to myself, right? It's like if you learn how to make something, like how to crochet, you might crochet a bunch of things for all your friends because you want to share it with them, right? So when we do something good, beneficial, like coming to Maba, sitting, hearing a Dharma talk, we can share whatever merits there are in that with other people. And we do that by doing it with our minds. We just picture ourselves, imagine ourselves giving all the merits away to others. This helps us to develop generosity because we get used to giving things away freely to others. We don't think of ourselves as doing it just for me. We're doing it for everybody. So the way that we do this here at Mapa on Sundays is we say a short prayer and dedicate all the merit. But the prayer I'm going to say is called the Bodhisattvas prayer. And you don't just have to say it at Mapa on Sunday. You can say it anytime. You can say it in the morning when you wake up to remind yourself how you want your day to be. You could say it at night before you go to sleep to dedicate your merit from the day. You can say it before you sit to remind yourself. One of the reasons I'm sitting here in meditation today is to help others, to be a benefit for others, not just doing it for me. So the prayer that we say, may all merit gathered here today be dedicated to help others know happiness and the causes of happiness. May they all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they know the great joy that is free from suffering. And may they dwell in the equanimity that is free from attachment, aversion, and ignorance. Thank you, everyone.